In the beginning, there was only Doom. A pioneering first-person shooter that boldly asked, what if a guy was so mad not even Satan could kill him? A seminal series of shooters that over the years have seen reinvention after reinvention, never letting the series stagnate or resting on a founding formula. In 2016, Doom brought old-school shooters back with a boom. Then Doom Eternal violently ripped into that boomer shooter style by making a game centered entirely on mobility. So first we had Shoot and Slay, then we had Move and Tear, and now Zoom and Boom. Doom the Dark Doom is not just a new Doom that is actually an old Doom, but it's a rhythm game wearing a legacy Doom's face while dressed as a medieval knight. The Dark Ages offers one of the most drastic shakeups to the established Doom gameplay, featuring melee combat that incorporates a Captain America-esque shield fitted with a metal-as-hell chainsaw blade. This takes the Slayer from the best defense is a good defense kind of guy to the best offense is just a defense with a chainsaw. That visceral, ripping, blunt force combat turns up the heat alongside the already exhilarating run and gun Doom fighting I'm used to. Its story is more fleshed out than ever, and while I was mostly unimpressed with that narrative, I have to say that from start to finish, Doom the Dark Ages is one hell of a ride. Get it?
Been activated.
I imagine the pitch meeting for this Doom 2016 prequel was just 80s metal albums with Doom guy photoshopped in. Dark Ages drops the Slayer, literally at times, into the middle of a war between the buff guy humans and the 4K slicked up demons of hell. Sounds like your usual Slayer Monday, but this Doom is set in a techno-medieval world full of chainmail armor, flaming flails, but also full of laser cannons, full auto guns, and double-barrel flintlock shotguns. A confusing time of space travel and full-on Arthurian castles, but confusing as it is, it's also perfect. Thrashing through fields of hellspawns with the heavy metal blaring in the background while wielding a chainsaw gauntlet and nail-throwing machine gun is beyond metal. The influence of, Dark Age style armor and weaponry carries into every aspect of the Slayer. Draped in a fur cloak, Slayer is absolutely dripping ancient knight demon slayer poise. His armor has been redone in the style of a black knight, still infusing those classic Doom guy elements like shotgun shells along his leather belt. But most importantly, those ideas carry through to his arsenal. Captain Slayer over here has been blessed with a shield wrapped with a chainsaw circlet that he can throw and recall, parry and block, and shred enemies to pieces with. This thing is so goddamn sick. It easily turns lumbering groups of red-eyed zombies into splattered chunks on the ground with one tap of a button. It does everything you need it to. It blocks incoming damage. You can use it like a battering ram, and one upgrade lets you shred a man while bouncing bullets off the shield in what is possibly the coolest shield-related thing I've ever seen. The shield adds a layer of squaring up with enemies rather than running them down. It's initially a little awkward to go from the frantic shooting and evading of Doom's past to Dark Age's block and retaliate styles, but once you get the hang of it, you'll feel that combat start to click. That's part of what makes the Dark Ages stand out amongst the Doomiverse of Doom games, TM. The idea of stand and fight. Glowing green attacks come flying at you amongst the lasers and fire blasts, and parrying them helps throw armored enemies off and even stuns tougher foes, allowing you to close the distance and finish them off guns blazing. Parrying, whether you like it or not, is a great time, adding a layer of challenge to a game that usually only wants you to fire the most bullets to kill something. I knew from the moment I leapt onto the blood-soaked battlefield that this game was going to be good, and I could tell that because it wasn't just how great it looked, it was how incredible it feels. When the Slayer works up a frenzy and leaps down on an unsuspecting horde of demons, he lands with a hefty slam. I zip across the arena with a shield bash, saying in my most metal voice, "Whee!" as I decimate a hellish fiend. Zipping around like a tank with booster jets makes the shield feel like the ultimate sidearm. And bolstering that sidearm is a wide range of creative Deathbringers, which you can load up with and run and gun to your heart's content. Some personal favorites of mine are the Ravager, a skull-fed bone blaster that shreds marrow-filled fragments into any unfortunate soul standing before you. There's also everyone's favorite gun, a ball on a chain. Just pull the trigger and the ball fires straight out on a chain, pulverizing your foes before returning to the gun. And you don't have to worry about losing the chain or the ball or having to reload, because the ball is attached to a chain, which is attached to the gun. It's ball on a chain. All the weapons have variants too, which means there's more variety to your carnage. There are old school options like the shotgun twins, or the fast-firing nail gun and its brother, the railroad spike thrower. Each of the 6 core weapon types also have upgrades allowing you to get more bang out of your gold bar buck. The incredible sound design is on full display here as well, as the satisfying auditory feedback makes mowing through enemies with guns and parrying feel incredible. There is nothing quite like that resonating gong that you get when you perfectly parry an incoming hell attack. The Slayer has more than just guns and a shield at his disposal though. Refined focus on crunchy melee attacks define the DNA of this new Doom. Slayer players have access to 3 brutal melee weapons on their crusade against the forces of hell: a heavy-hitting punch attack, a soul-shattering hammer, or the unholy Doombringer flail that ignites enemies, knocking the very armor out of them with each violent swing. Hey, guess which one's my favorite? Each of these tools serves a purpose, rewarding getting in close with health and full clips. But like Henry Cavill and Mission Impossible, even your arms need reloading at times, meaning you'll need to balance those melee hits with pickups to stay ready to throw hands at any time. The demons of this ancient hellscape seem to have also received the memo that melee attacks are back on the menu, as you'll be parrying and avoiding incoming melee attacks while weaving through beams of energy constantly. Dark Ages seems to almost have a rhythmic dance to it, and after countless bloody battles and hundreds of glory kills, I started to feel that rhythm become my instinct. As the Slayer faced down massive armies, I could feel myself slipping more and more into the beat, a thrillingly entertaining symphony of carnage. Dark Ages didn't want to leave our bloodied hands working only on the ground though. From time to time, the Slayer will take up the gigantic mech suits of the human armies and tango with titans for control of a larger battlefield. These gargantuan dust-ups are more akin to a supersized version of Punch-Out, but they're few and far between and never overstay their welcome, so they're a fun distraction. You'll also find your way to the Doom Dragon, a draconic beast that Doom Guy can ride like Top Gun. Hitting Mach 5 while decimating demon ships is a pretty badass way to change up the gameplay, and the first time you watch your dragon land on the face of a demon and barbecue them from the inside out, I can pretty much guarantee you'll say hell yeah. That being said, the dodging mechanics are a little misplaced in these dogfights, and the lack of real things to do in the air meant that I was always grateful to return to clobbering demons up close on the ground. Doom the Dark Ages level design has drastically opened up compared to previous entries. That doesn't mean they aren't as densely packed with secrets and goodies to find. These can range from adorable action figures to full-on lore entries to collect. Alongside these are optional boss showdowns with more intense versions of standard demons that allowed you to grow your health, stamina, or ammo pools respectively. I found myself kind of drawn to these. I wanted to find all the secrets, but ultimately these sidebars aren't so interesting as to improve the experience overall. They're a decent reason to go kill more demons, and the rewards are heavily worthwhile, but ultimately they don't add much. The story of Doom the Dark Ages is a straightforward Doom tale, but much like the Slayer himself, I only cared about spilling demon blood, which works out because much of the story happens away from Doom Guy altogether. I don't come to the gun-shooting demon gorefest for the plot. I don't care if this is a Wendy's, I'm here to rip and tear. Thank you. Doom the Dark Ages is a unique blend of what makes modern Doom work and innovative ideas that keep the series regulars on our toes. At its peak, it's a tough-as-nails, blood-soaked, brutal killfest with buttery smooth gameplay that puts the power of the Slayer on full display. The chainsaw shield is the coolest idea this franchise has ever had, and I hope they don't get rid of it. Sowing chaos in the fields of Lovecraftian ghouls was an absolute delight that kept me giddy with heavy metal glee from the glorious first shotgun round. id Software continues to show why they are some of the greatest to ever do the first-person thing, and Doom the Dark Ages easily earns an 8 out of 10 from me. For Hardwired, I'm Andrew Hamilton.